Hello and welcome to Embracing the Bold, the Valencia College radio show where you get to hear all about the amazing humans that make up the School of Arts and Entertainment. And I am your host, Rebecca Lane, the Director of School of Arts and Entertainment. And today we have the student designers and student builders for our brand new, first ever haunted attraction at Valencia College. Before we get started, I just want to remind you that we have a robust art season that is happening. So this, our haunted attraction, opens on Friday, October 27th. After that, we have a symphonic jazz band concert that opens on Tuesday, October 31st. That's going to be at 11:30 in the afternoon. After that, November 2nd, we have a selected fine arts faculty gallery show that's going to open on November 2nd with food and music, and you'll get to really spend time with the faculty who have crafted the art that's shared in that show. And following that, on November 3rd, just one day later, we have the Choreographers Showcase. Opens on November 3rd at 8 p.m. That plays 2 nights. November 14th, we have a winter choral concert. November 15th, there's a band concert. The 16th, there's a jazz concert. We just have a whole bunch of stuff coming up for you here at the School of Arts and Entertainment. And I'd love to see you out here at one or more than one of these events. Most of the events that I just mentioned are free to the public. So please join us for a really incredible arts experience. And now I'd like to go ahead and introduce the students that we have here today who have supported the Florida Museum of Cursed Artifacts, a haunted attraction. So can you guys introduce yourselves? I'd like to hear your name, and I'd like to hear your major, and maybe how long you've been studying with us here at Valencia College.
Hi, I'm Yari. I am in the Live Entertainment and Design program, the AV specialization. I've been in the program for about 4 semesters now.
Hi, I'm Alma. I'm in the Live Entertainment Design and Production. This is my 2nd year at Valencia, and I'm in the design path.
Hello, my name is Mars Stiles, and I have been in the program for about 2 years now. I am in the live entertainment design major in the production design specialization.
Hi, my name is Joslyn, and I'm a film tech major, and this is my 2nd year at Valencia, and I'm super happy to be here.
Hi, my name is Sydney Agliano Brennick. I am kind of in between the different majors. I'm in the arts major, but I'm going more towards stage management, but I don't have a specific degree program under it right now. But I've been kind of all around with helping out with where is needed.
Hello, I'm Alondra. I am doing a major in theater, specialized in acting, and this is my 3rd year here in Valencia.
Hi, my name is William. This is my 4th semester in live entertainment design, and yeah.
All right, that's awesome. So thank you guys for being here. So first off, can you explain to me what this event is?
Yeah, so this is our very first attempt at a walk-through entertainment event, much like a haunted house, but it has, its own stories, its own twist to it. We have a lot of special effects going into this. We have a lot of props and some script work going into it. So we have a lot of the departments involved in this.
All right, so it is our first walkthrough event. It is in the world of haunted, and it is somewhat scripted, and there's props and special effects. So what is the story? What's the story?
So you are walking into a museum that got asked to come into the Valencia Black Box. It is a museum of Florida artifacts, so all of the stories are basically stories from Florida, so like Key West, Sarasota, places like that. You were coming in, and just doing a regular tour when everything goes awry, because the artifacts start to come to life as you're walking through.
Oh, so it starts out as it's just a visiting museum.
Yeah, it starts out as a visiting museum. You meet your docent, who is your tour guide, and then you meet a custodian who knows that you should not be here after dark on a tour, because things get really spooky at night. And as you walk through, you'll notice how things just start coming to life around you to try to grab you.
All right. So what is the experience walking through?
So it starts like you already said. It starts out as a normal, as a normal museum tour, like just a normal run of the mill museum tour. But as you make your way through the rooms, it and given the kind of snarky comments from the custodian, it becomes clear that it's not just a normal tour in a normal museum.
That's great. So what are you guys what are your individual roles? So are you doing the design? Are you building props? Are you building the walls and the scaffolding? What are your roles?
So mine is, I am a carpenter, so I'm taking what they're giving me and building up some walls and things like that. And I'm also the assistant stage manager for the attraction. So I'll be able to handle the scare actors coming in and also getting the docents and the custodians ready on my half of the house.
All right, excellent.
I started with the house in the summer, so I was part of the initial design team for this house. I'm currently on props. I'm working on animatronics and just building all the props for all the rooms. There's a big group of us, and we're all trying to work together to get everything done and make sure everything works and get everyone scared.
Ooh.
I am the scenic charge for this production, also known as the paint charge. I am in charge of making sure all of our walls are up and painted and looking correct. I also do a little bit of the construction, but more so for the visual aspects of the production.
I'm about the same as Mars. I work directly under him with the scenic and design. I do help where it's needed. I've done some carpentry in the past, and I just kind of put up walls, help paint, and dress the swamp room. So, yeah.
Me as well, mainly working under Mars at this point, but I am all around helping with painting and also was in props as well and been helping with install some days too. So helping where is needed, but been mostly painting those walls.
I am mostly in props, just building the props and painting. Sometimes I do help out Mars in doing some scenic, but it's mostly just props for the rooms.
I'm one of the two master carpenters on this show, so our job is to make sure walls get physically built and installed in the wherever they're needed, and work on some of the larger set pieces for all the rooms.
That sounds great. Awesome. So Alma, can you tell me, since you started this project over the summer, so how did this begin?
It started with our design practicum class. There was Brandon Cash and our volunteer Lee. They were brainstorming the idea of having a haunted house with Kristen. They had the initial idea, so they wrote it out. They started planning all the rooms. And once Sharknami was over, me and the rest of the ATP class got to come in and work on what we could. So I was in charge of props. I started designing ideas for the different rooms, what we were going to have. And then I started on prototypes like Robert the Doll. We also started on lighting and costumes over the summer. So we had a general idea how we were going to start for the fall semester.
That's great. So when you say you made prototypes, what do you mean?
So for Robert the Doll, it was very difficult to figure out how they made his face. If you look at a picture of him, he has these very sharp features. And I was trying to figure out how I could do that out of cloth, because I was going to make him an actual doll, cloth doll. And I wasn't really sure how to do that. So I learned how to sew just so I could build Robert the doll. I have about 4 different models, prototypes, that I did just for the head. And then about 3 different types I did for the body.
So is Robert the doll based on a specific story?
Yeah, Robert the doll is based on the Key West story. So Robert, he is a doll, which Yari has more information on him since I'm really scared to search him up. I don't want him to come after me. But he's a doll from 1914? About the 1920s. He's initially from Germany. So Robert came and was gifted to a kid named Robert. He is a haunted doll. And Yari, you can take over the story because I forgot.
Robert the doll is a doll that is in a museum in Key West. He is the most haunted doll in history apart from Annabelle.
Oh, wow.
So just like Alma said, it's things that I've told her. He was gifted to a family. I believe the families were the Ottos was the name of the family. The little boy's name was Robert, and he got this doll from his great-grandfather who came from Germany. He was dressed in a jester's outfit at first, and Robert, the actual kid, was dressed in a sailor's outfit. The moment he picked up Robert, something happened, and he decided to say, no, Robert is the doll. Robert is the name of the doll now.
Oh.
I am not Robert. My name is Jean. That was his middle name.
Oh.
He gave him his sailor suit, and then things just started happening. And everywhere Robert went, things would happen. So he is now in a museum, and they have very, very strict rules on Robert. You cannot take a picture of Robert without his permission, because apparently people who have done that have gotten extremely bad luck afterwards. So
no.
if you actually look up a picture of the room where Robert is sitting in the museum, the walls are covered in apology letters from people asking for Robert's apology because they did not follow the rules.
Oh, no.
Hence why I'm really scared to search about him.
Fair enough. Okay, so when you're talking about Robert the doll and you're making this prototype, so does Robert need to move, or is Robert a puppet? Is Robert just a doll?
Robert, he's going to move. I don't want to say exactly how, just because I don't want people to know the scare aspect. But he will move. He is one of our main scares, one of our main animatronics and scares.
Oh, that's great. So part of the prototyping wasn't just replicating Robert the doll, but it was also like figuring out the movement.
Yeah, so our volunteer over the summer, Lee, he was the person who was helping me with the animatronics since I've never done them before. Mm-hmm. He started all the prototypes. He started the prototype for the crypt, which is in the swamp room, and he gave me ideas for the prototype of Robert, how we were going to get him to move. So those prototypes we are actually going to use. We're waiting on the more equipment to actually finish him.
That's great. And so when you guys started out over the summer, how much of this did you, like as a class, did you script together? And what did you, so first, did you script?
So it was a 2-class thing. Design Practicum was mostly in charge of getting the general idea down with Kristen. And then ATP, when we finished Sharknami, we took over at the end half of the summer. And we just started designing like the essential stuff that they needed for the beginning of fall semester. We didn't really have a script. We had a general idea of what we wanted, the stories we were going to tell in each room, but we didn't have like a set script. We did start with the design aspect of each room and the design of how we wanted our characters to look as well.
Okay, great. And so that initial research part, what did you do? Like, were you pulling pictures from the internet? Were you sketching things out? What was that process?
For Design Practicum, I believe they were researching out of a book Kristen had. I don't remember the name of the book, but it had all the haunted stories of Florida. So they had to figure out which stories they wanted to use for each room. And we got them figured out. The first room is based off St. Augustine, if I'm not mistaken. The second room is based off Key West. The swamp room, where is that from? I think it's
The Everglades.
The
yeah.
Everglades?
Yeah.
Okay, the swamp room is the Everglades. And then the paranormal room is based off of Sarasota.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. But yeah, we had to get the story down, figure out what was haunted there, how we can incorporate it into our story and into the museum, and what props we would need, and how everything could just correlate together.
So did you do research beyond the book, or did you just stick with the book?
We did research beyond the book so we could get general ideas how we wanted the room, how we wanted the props, and how we wanted each character for the haunted attraction.
Okay. And so what kind of research did you do? Was this just like a Google search, or was this like library research?
I did mostly Google.
What'd you say?
I did mostly Google.
Okay.
Since I was doing mostly Robert the Doll, I researched like what clothes he was wearing, where I could get outfits for him, and then I also researched the like house he grew up in, so I could get like a general feel of how the room was going to look, so I can get everything I forgot the word. Cohesive. I'm sorry.
Nice.
But yeah, we did a lot of research on general times and how we wanted everything to look, so we could have a mood board for the start of the fall semester, and everyone could have already like a general start for their ideas and processes.
Yeah, and if I can also add, going into the actual production timeline after the preliminary design work was done, we used a lot of those references that were gathered during the time Alma was mentioning, and we, gathered more references. So one of the things we were working on was what's called the Devil's Chair, which I believe is in Sarasota. We might be wrong on that location there, but and it involved getting the dimensions of it, the placement of the bricks that it's made out of, how exactly those bricks are oriented, where they're placed. Since I'm paint, I'm going to work on color matching the chair. Oh, my bad. It's in Casadega. So the correction is not in Sarasota. It's Casadega. So yeah, and we have pulled a lot of reference photos for the things we are working on. And might I also mention that Alma has a bracelet that says Robert as a reference to Robert the doll. It has Heart Robert, which is very, very nice.
So this is great. So you guys are going from something that is a completely original idea, starting with, so you're going from concept to product. That's great. So you've done your mood board, you've done some research, you've done your mood board, and did every room have a mood board kind of experience attached to it?
Oh yeah, for sure. So just going from the paint side of things, the start of the museum is very kind of straight-laced. We want it to sort of act like a regular museum would, with, of course, its own little scares and twists that we won't get into detail here. But going forward, the kids' room where Robert the Doll is housed, we wanted to go for sort of a vintage looking wallpaper, which we worked on stenciling and adding in some sort of a faded yellow stripes on the walls. And then the swamp room is where we are heavily using references and mood boards for, because it really is supposed to look like this place is getting taken over by swamp. So we use a lot of reference pictures for that.
Yeah, if I could just add to that, with the swamp room, it's a big transition. It's one of the, at least I think, a big important room in the haunted house where you go from this normal haunted this attraction or this room and it's fine, and then it completely changes and you're encased in this other world. So there's a lot going into it, and like Mars said, we're having a lot of reference pictures and brainstorming on that end.
That's great. So who's collecting the reference pictures? Is that the designers, or are you guys doing that research as well?
It's sort of a group effort as we go along the production, figuring out, oh, we should add this to it. And it's sort of, coming together, whoever's working on that piece. We collect the reference images for it, and we start working.
That's great. So after you've got these mood boards, and before we move forward, can somebody tell me what a mood board is? We're talking about them, but let's define the vocabulary.
Yeah, so mood board, reference photos, anything like that is basically just a collection of photos, of ideas, of colors, either images or words that lets us know here's the general idea of what we're going for. So the swamp room, of course, we have our cypress trees of Florida. We have swamp water. We have the knees of the cypress trees, which are those little roots that stick out from the ground near the cypress trees. We have reference photos for moss, for foliage, color swatches, anything that lets us know the general visual idea of the room that we're working on.
All right. And have each of you contributed? Like everybody in this room, have you contributed to those mood boards and that research?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Great. And are you doing this through a class, or are you doing this, are you volunteering?
So I'm part of TTP, which is Technical Theater Production. So ATP is kind of like the heads. They're the head of each department. So like Mars is, the head and so forth and so on of that. And we are kind of learning and kind of understanding what we would want to do best, or kind of what we like as far as what would go into doing an attraction like this or being a part of theater. So we are all kind of learning and going into different groups of where we think and kind of being tossed all around, and it's really fun. But we are all kind of contributing and also looking at our lead heads and kind of being like, what's next? What do we do? And kind of being under all of that. But we do help where needed. It's definitely a given direction for us as far as TTP, but ATP is a little bit more advanced and in charge.
Okay.
I'm going to add to that really quick. I am not in any of those classes. I am a student volunteer. I did take TTP back when we first did Young Frankenstein, and I have just come back as a student volunteer for the rest of the productions. So I was the stage manager for Sharknami and things like that. So now I am more heavily into the construction part of the house as a student volunteer, but I'm just there, and if they need help, they kind of come and ask me too when they can't find their group heads, only because I've been through it. I know what they need, what they're looking for.
So it sounds like you're really guiding the project. A little bit?
A little bit. Yeah, so if I can add to that, the TTP class, and even if you aren't in the theater direction or you are, it's like an introduction to how things are working and which direction you could go in to specify what you're doing. So scenic, carpentry, lighting, audio, visual tech, so many things that you could go into. So it really helps you get more skills in the area that that you want to work on, and in anything else that you do. Like me, I'm film production tech, but it's still so important to me to know these things and to learn more about direction and art direction and just design. So it's really, TTP is it's a good intro to then ATP as the leaders.
Just to clarify, TTP does mean technical theater production. ATP is advanced theater production. ATP is the people who lead the TTP.
Thank you for that clarification. I appreciate that.
When you sign up for ATP, the main focus of this class is you are serving as a team leader for a production. So me and Will we are both in advanced technical production, Will being, of course, the master carpenter, and me, the head of paint or scenic charge. So that whole class is focused on, okay, you are going to serve as a team leader, and it will help you build these skills for continuing on with that sort of role.
All right. And how is the class preparing you to lead these teams?
So there's the way it goes is you have your first meeting where our meeting class or our meeting time is 2 hours. So we have our 1 hour where it's just us ATP students. So that's like 10 people, where we talk with our professor and anybody else who's working on it, like faculty, like teachers. And we speak with them directly, where they tell us stuff that we need as head of stuff that just we need to know that's important as leaders, and then we go into our meeting with everybody else, and then we relay that information to the other TTP students who are just like kind of starting out.
Okay, great. So your class prepares you because you kind of get the idea of what your teams need to do,
Yes.
and then you get to communicate that information to your team and oversee that it happens.
Yes, yeah. As a lead in ATP, you're in charge of making sure people do stuff when it's supposed to be done.
Great. And do you end up having to teach people how to do certain techniques?
Yes, a lot. Because a lot of the time there are people take a class that's a prerequisite for TTP. They do it at the same time, so they don't always know how to do certain things before they have to do it for TTP. So
Okay.
sometimes they end up learning things sooner than they were going to, because they're doing TTP instead of doing basic and the other one at separate times.
Sure. Simply because it serves the need of the show.
Yes.
Nice. Well, and so when you got to school in this fall, in August, what were your first thoughts when you learned that you were going to be working on a haunted attraction?
So I had learned about around middle of the summer that we were planning on doing a haunt for the fall. The planning was happening well in advance. That sort of the buzz of it was around for us to know about. So with that in mind, we were able to, or at least in my case, I was able to plan accordingly to be in ATP in order to be a part of the production.
So first, coming in the beginning of fall, I had no idea that this class was going to be this much work. I thought it was just like an hour a week, just go to class and that's it. I'll chill, you know. But then they said, we're building a haunted house for October. I was like, oh, okay, cool. How are we going to do that? Basically, you have to be here most of the week and work for hours. And so all of my other plans in life kind of just gone.
Oh, no.
But at least this is a lot of fun, and our leads are amazing, and they teach us very well, and they guide us through everything. Also, the professors, so they have made, like, all of this experience, like, very fun and smooth for us.
So
Yeah.
what? Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to add to that. So a lot of newer students that come into TTP, there's a little common misconception. When you sign up for the class, it doesn't tell you how much time it is. It just shows up like, I think it's like a 1 credit. Mm-hmm. It shows up like a 1 credit class. So it's like an hour a week. The hour a week is your meeting time, because for this class, you do have to be part of a production crew. You will have to be a part of a run crew as well. So you get to choose which run crew depending on what shows we're doing in the semester to be basically backstage running the show. As you're doing it, you just have to make sure that you know you are going to be part of a run crew, so that it's going to be long hours at night. You have a whole tech week that you need to be a part of. You're going to take some days out of your week and be in the wood shop for 3 hours instead of the 1 hour, because you have to make up how many work blocks you need to pass the class.
Yeah, and a lot of students are thrown off guard by the fact that it's not just 1 hour a week you're dedicating to this. It's about 10 to 12 hours a week.
Okay.
And this information is posted about the class, but it's not really in your face.
Okay.
It's not until that first class meeting where one of the professors are saying, all right, so you're signing up for 3 work blocks a week. That is 3 hours each. So you're dedicating pretty much about 10 to 12 hours a week to this production, which gets you ready for how it is in the industry. So, but yeah, there I guess should be more of a warning before signing up into this. Which can't really say where that warning should be, but it
there
throws
is
people off guard.
every class that you take, the expectation is that for every credit hour, it is 1 hour in class, but also 6 to 9 hours outside of class. And that's for reading your textbooks. That's for doing homework. Do you guys have a lot of reading outside of these shop hours?
No,
not at all.
Yeah, it's a lot of just your whole grade really is just being there and doing stuff. It's not there's no textbooks. There are no like Canvas discussions or quizzes or anything like that. The vast majority of the class is just being there and showing up and doing what you're told.
Yeah. And so that's one of the reasons they do that, is there's not work outside of those hours because you're learning in a very hands-on way.
Yes.
Yeah. So what are you learning? What's exciting about this?
So it's honestly amazing what you learn, especially in this kind of work. There are so many practical things that you learn in regards to, building, painting. You get to learn audio, basic electricity. Just the other day, I had to replace a reverse osmosis fitting on our refrigerator filter because it was leaking. But I was able to do that because I had replaced a air compression valve on our compression system. Yeah. And it's sort of little things like that actually translate into real world tasks that you can do just around the house. But yeah, we learn, power tools. We learn the basic and advanced techniques for painting. Yeah, and just a lot.
Considering I've done it a couple of times, but I feel like this semester with Fred, who is our new technical director, we've learned a lot more. He's putting a lot more faith in us. He is teaching us new things like the animatronics. He wants us to learn, so he is pulling us over to be like, so this is how this is going to work, and when I put it together, you can help. Or I come into the shop now and I've learned to build new frames that he just comes in and goes, Yari, I need you to build this. And I'm like, okay, how do I build it? He gives me a basic layout of what he wants and I can do it. We also learn in our basic stagecraft, but also in our TTP class, how to use the genie lifts. Now it's not just our professors doing it. As long as someone's watching us, we can get on these genie lifts and hang a light and focus it, or move cables around, or even just putting up some pieces of wood that need to go up on an 8-foot flat that we can't reach on a ladder.
And a whole nother thing we were going through these last couple weeks is making sure our set is Class A fire rated. So everyone's nodding their heads and going, oh yeah.
So what does that mean, Class A fire rated?
So that means making sure that the materials we're using, the materials we're building with, are safely protected against fire. And that is for any material like wood, any of your basic flammable materials, wood, fabric. Will might know some more on that.
So a lot of this, given the nature of this attraction, that it's a walk through experience, not just a thing where you sit in a chair for 2 hours and watch people on a stage 40 feet away. There's a lot more that we've learned about it's not job site safety, but a lot more about like attraction safety. Like we had our very first floor plan took up the entire space, and then the fire marshal came in and looked at that floor plan and said, "That's not good." And we were like, "What's wrong?" And they said, "Well, you need a exit corridor around the whole thing, for in case there's a fire." So we had to redo our whole plan. But there's things like that taught us a lot about attraction safety, about it's kind of like theme park safety sort of thing, because it's similar to it's sort of like a haunted house kind of thing, but it's a little different. But a lot of the safety things here also apply to attractions like that. So there's a lot to learn about for this attraction specifically, about attraction safety and like site safety and stuff like that.
Also, going off of that, we also learned a lot about ADA accessibility.
Yes.
We actually had to take our floor plan, and as we were laying down where our walls were supposed to be with the tape, we realized that it was not actually 3'6". Yes, 3'6" across like a hallway that we could fit a wheelchair through. So we took that into consideration, went back through everything, and made sure that all of our walls and entrances are spaced out to that 3'6", so that way it is wheelchair accessible, so everybody can come in. And we still do have those exit corridors for emergency exits, and the fire, just in case of a fire, anybody who needs to leave.
Yeah, so we're learning sort of the balance between like our aesthetic side of the production, making things look nice, making sure things run, but we're also having to consider and learn about the safety aspects of an attraction like this. So that is ADA compliance, that's fire safety, that's making sure our scare actors know basic like health, procedures, we do have some flashing lights, we do have some things that could cause complications for people with health risks. So if someone has a seizure, we are having our actors train in how to deal with that. We also are kind of going over basic fight choreography, because if something scares you, sometimes you punch it in the face. So our actors need to be prepared for that, and Yara could probably go over that a bit more.
So sorry, that made me laugh. During the rehearsal sections, we are talking to the people who wanted to be scare actors. We're giving them a basic rule of you do not touch a person, and a person might hit. So you have to be not on guard, but paying attention to what's going on around you, and basic body language sense, because you don't know what is scaring somebody so bad that they might react a certain way. We have also learned about the 3-foot, is that it? The 3-step rule, where if someone gets scared, they kind of take 3 steps back. So we've made some of our walls a little bit stronger as well, just in case they back up against a wall and it doesn't fall over. But our scare actors are learning not to touch anybody. They are also going to learn hand signals for us. In case they're in trouble, they have a hand signal that our stage manager will see, and then let us assistant stage managers know that person needs help, that we need to go find the scare actor, as well as hand signals to say, hey, a person needs help, come quickly, because we don't want them to get out of character. So we have them we're figuring it out a little bit more, but we have them doing 2 basic hand signals that we will be able to see, so that we can react, as well as we were told, I believe it's on Wednesday, that the nurse is coming.
Yeah. Yes.
We are having our nurse come on Wednesday to kind of walk us through what to do in certain situations. So if someone is having a seizure or something happens, we will have knowledge on what to do while we wait for the medical attention to come through.
That's great. So it sounds like you're learning about safety. You're learning about dealing with code. You're learning about the artistry that goes into crafting environments. And it sounds like you're learning the tools to build, to really realize that vision. So what is most surprising? What's surprising you about this?
I would say that coming into this class as in TTP, so technical theater production, and not being a part of a full production with the college, the kind of the freedom that the professors give you and kind of the trust that they give you is very surprising. I'm kind of like, wow, I didn't realize that we would have so much leeway to kind of do what we wanted to do with our creativity, and also just them giving us tasks. The same thing, like, they've said we get a task that we need to do, and we're like, how do we do that? And it's fine to ask. It's okay to ask. They don't expect us to always know, but sometimes you're like, should I have known this before coming in? But yeah, Fred does give us a lot of the hands-on opportunities to do things that we may not even thought that you were going to do this semester, with teaching us things. And he's always like, no, you can do that. You got it. You can do it. And making sure that we feel comfortable doing it, but also kind of pushing us out of our comfort zone, because we didn't know what to expect with coming into a lot of that for most people. But I think everything is, there's a lot of surprises, but definitely with having that freedom, and then also learning kind of every aspect of it with the codes, and also with artistically, and then in the theater, it's good to know all around.
Yeah, I definitely can say it's I think an empowering experience, being able to work with so many new tools and being in charge of so many exciting and important things. I know I had minimal theater experience in high school. I loved what I did. And jumping into this, it's so much more and on so much of a bigger level. And at first I was super intimidated, but now I'm like, I like the confidence, and I like having the ability to do more, even if I don't know what I'm doing, and I've got to learn as I go. And just working on it with a team is really exciting, and it really trains you for those real life experiences and those real world situations that you could go through that you didn't think would ever come up. And look at you now, you're doing this, and you're fixing things in your homes, and you're applying this stuff to real life, and you're like, this is crazy, this is amazing. And it definitely makes you happy in the decisions you make and proud of what you do.
So I was also very surprised about our freedom. We weren't limited. Fred is so amazing. He goes up to you and he's like, what do you want? What do you want to do? What's your dream? What's your vision? And then he goes, if you dream it, we can do it. If you want to do it, we'll do it. So don't limit yourself. Every time I'm doing something, he's like, Alma, what do you want? And I'm like, well, I was thinking this. And he was like, okay, let's do it. Do you have an idea? And I'm like, I don't really know. He was like, well, we can figure it out. We'll work it through, and we'll get it done.
I've also been surprised at how now we are more encouraged to take pictures. In the past semesters that I've been a student volunteer, we were told at the very end, like, don't forget to take pictures of what you built. But we weren't ever told, take pictures while you build, so you can put it in your portfolio.
Documenting the process is huge.
Exactly. Yes. And he has brought it back into us to go, hey, take pictures of while you're building. Or when I finish something, he's like, did you take pictures of it? I was like, yes, I did. He's like, great. Because he wants us to be able to put these in our portfolios. And I now have a ton of pictures of things I have built, of me being on a genie lift, putting up a wall. I have a ton of pictures now that I did not have during the other productions that I did.
In case we haven't really introduced this so-called Fred that we've mentioned, he is our technical director. He had recently just joined us at Valencia within the last over the
summer, yeah.
in the last couple months. this man has some crazy experience backing him. He has worked at numerous theme parks. He's worked across the. He's worked in other countries. He's worked. What are some of the other things he said he's done? Just Jurassic Park, Universal. He has some cool things under his belt. So he's been really a great person to follow during this this production, especially since this is sort of our first production dealing with the theme park side of the entertainment industry. Whereas we've been doing a lot of a theater, which is your straight plays, your musicals, the things you sit and watch. But this, you're physically in the space, you're experiencing it, it's all around you. So he has the theme park experience to know going forward, okay, we need fire safety. We need to make sure these walls aren't going to fall over at the slightest breeze. We need to make sure things are working as they should because we have people physically in the space. But Fred has been a great person to work under.
Yeah, Fred is it's a little different from our last technical director. Fred is very much on he's more into like the building part, which as Master Carp, that's very helpful. But he's very much more like a practical. He's like, I don't want to say old school, but like our old technical director would very much be like, school. Oh, he'd be like, he would like draft, like this is like little stuff, but he would like draft stuff up. Like our old technical director Ross would draft stuff up on the computer and it would take him like, forever. Fred will just like draw on a piece of paper and hand it to you and be like, here's your paper, go do it.
Yeah, like I worked with Ross a couple of times. I loved Ross. I can't say anything bad, but just the differences of coming into the shop and immediately knowing what you're working on, and it's not taking you several days to work on one thing, and you're not having to split up a day of, okay, only you guys are going to do this, and only the people that I want to do AV only one day. Everybody gets to work on what they want every day, which makes the process a little faster. It does hinder it a little bit when it comes to building, when we don't have a lot of builders, but we like that he also lets us, he doesn't automatically go into the problem solving himself. He lets us figure it out first. And if it makes sense, then he will tell us to do it. If it doesn't, he doesn't automatically say, well, that's wrong, don't do it. He just goes, so here's the reason why you might want to do something else. And he makes us feel like we are in charge of this. It's not just us getting a plan and being, here's your plan, build me this, and you're done. He's letting us kind of take our creativity to it. On Friday, I came in and he said, Yari, you're here. And I'm like, yes, I'm here. What do you need? I need a toy box. What? What? You need a toy box? He's like, yes, take these pieces of recycled stuff that we have and make a toy box, put some hinges on it. And I sat there for a minute thinking, how am I going to build it out of these things? And Will was there, and so was Mars, and they can attest that it came out. Yeah. It worked. It did. It's going to work. So we'll hopefully, once the mechanic is in it, I'm not going to give away what it does. Hopefully it works how it's supposed to. But I feel like that's the thing with Fred. He just trusts us enough to know that we can do this. And he just steps back. And if we need help, we just go over and say, Fred, I don't understand this. I need help. Can you come look at this? And he comes and just gives us constructive criticism on how we can either change it or we could keep doing what we're doing and just add things to it.
There's not a lot of hand holding. No. Like it's not hand holding. It's just if you don't know something, he'll help you, but he won't tell you how to do it like step by step. He'll like give you it and let you figure it out on your own. And then if you need his help, you go ask him later.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that can be really daunting too.
A little bit.
Yeah. So are you finding that freedom is scary, or are you finding that it's inspiring, or?
think
It's a little bit of both, I think.
Yeah.
yeah.
He would come up to you. He came up to me one time and he said, "There's a change in the script. I want you to look at it and try to figure out how we can do it." And I said, "Okay. I don't really know how we're going to do it." And he was like, "Just look at it and tell me your ideas and we'll make it work." And I'm like, "Okay." So I looked at the strip and I'm like, I really have no idea how I'm going to make this work.
And what is this thing?
It's a portrait that we're going to have in the museum. We didn't plan for it. So we had to figure out where we were going to put it and how we were going to make this portrait work. So we had to figure out, we had to figure out where it was going to go because it's supposed to go in the beginning, but we never planned for it. And so he wanted me to come up with an idea of where it was going to go, how we were going to make it work, and how we could run the whole museum with that portrait. So after a little while, I got it brainstormed, and he liked the idea and then brought it up to ATP, who went ahead and approved of the idea. I believe that's what you guys did in that class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're still it's going along. I think we're gonna end up using it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. Yeah.
Well, and do you feel like what you're learning here is relevant to the careers that you'd like to
Most
pursue?
certainly, yes.
Well, and what careers do you want to pursue, by the way?
I want to pursue stage management, so I don't know exactly where we're going to go, whether it be Broadway stage management or maybe concert touring and that type of thing. But I feel like all of this in general is good to know, everything that we're learning for sure. And I like that the freedom that we get. It does feel scary sometimes, but Fred is very supportive, so it kind of forces you to make friends with the people around you because you have to ask them questions. I have to become more comfortable with all the people around me because these are who you work with every day, and it makes you go up and kind of make friends at this point and talk to them and be like, I don't know how to do this. Can you show me? Type of thing. But yeah, Fred is really supportive, and I appreciate all of the opportunities that he gives us of different things that we will be able to take with us and use for our different careers, because I feel like it changes people's perspective of things. So even if you thought that maybe you wanted to do something coming into this, I feel like all of the freedom and opportunity he gives you could change your mind maybe, or make you feel like you like something a little more that you didn't know that you liked. So I feel like he wants, like you can tell, he wants so much for us, and he tries to give us the most opportunity possible. And he wants us to do really great things.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I totally agree because, it's funny. I started out as a film student, actually, and then I ended up switching to live entertainment. And this was actually long before Fred was here, but it was one of those things where, like, you start doing something and you're like, wow, I really like this. Like, I really, really like this, and then it's enough that makes you want to make a huge life-changing decision.
And then what do you want to do after this?
So I was going to go into film and be like grip or camera op or something like that. But I'd like to do something scenic carpentry at like Disney World, Universal, SeaWorld, maybe somewhere not in Florida, traveling would be nice. But I'm probably start there, start at the parks and go from there.
Great.
For me, I'm going mostly into acting and performance, but now in this class, I realize that I can be very artistic, and I love just like sculpting and painting. Right now we have to create limbs and stuff. I never thought I'd come out of a class saying, oh, I can build you a hand out of like paper mache, tape,
nice.
And clay. Yeah, it's actually really fun, and this is something new for me. And who knows, I might end up pursuing this instead. Now I'm just exploring.
So this really opened up some opportunities.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah, and similar to Will, I just started out in college. Like I said, it's only my second year. I'm a film student. I know everyone either says they want to do acting or directing, and I say the same thing. I'm like, oh, yeah, that sounds cool. But doing this, it makes me realize that there's so many more avenues I could take, and I still want to stick to film. I still want to do that, but it makes me realize that I can learn so much and that I can go into more of the art design and art direction aspect of film and film directing. And it's just a really good career builder because it makes you confident in the choices you make. And as a film student, I don't know too much yet, so it's learning this is helping me also learn that and introduce myself to that and be more comfortable with it.
Yeah, so I was kind of lucky in that from high school, I knew this is what I wanted to be doing.
And by this, you mean?
By this, I mean technical theater, working backstage, just being present while this huge thing is being built. I got into the backstage scene in my sophomore year of high school. And from that, I just kind of never left the theater. Granted, I was never on stage, never wanted to be on stage. I don't think I would be on stage again. And, you know, just being there for the building, the planning, the painting, all of that was just like, yeah, this is right. And I mean, going forward, I don't really have a specific position I'm aiming for. It's sort of just I want to be in on the scene, whether I'm just building stuff, whether I'm painting, whether I'm like designing, you know, I have all of these things under my belt that I could say, hey, I can do this. Would you like me to be present for it? And that's just kind of cool. Just, you know, knowing that I can be helpful is great.
Just like Mars, I was also behind the scenes in high school. I was very much a set production person, and I still want to do scenic production. That's my main goal. I found out Fred was an art director, and I let him know I want to be an art director as well. So he gives me those opportunities with this production and asking me questions about like the art direction of where we want to go to build that and become more confident in my skills. And now I have more doors open for me because I can now do puppeteering. I'll be able to do animatronics, and I'll have like the oh my gosh, I forgot the word again. Experience. I have the experience with lighting and audio as well.
So I'm kind of in the same track as Will. I started as a sound production student, actually, right in this building. And I realized that I don't like being stuck in a sound booth or in a sound studio. It's a little boring. For the people who like it, I totally commend you. But for me itself, it seemed a little boring. So I found out that there was an AV track. And so I went into the AV track and did technical theater, and now I'm continuing to be a student volunteer, and I want to go into the park. So hopefully, whatever life takes me with the experience.
That sounds great. So it sounds like this feels very relevant, and it sounds like it's giving you a lot of opportunities to discover your strengths and explore.
Yes.
Are you excited? Because will you only work on the haunted house through these courses, or will you work on other projects?
I'm actually, right after this, I am working straight into She Kills Monsters, so I'm continuing towards the next semester.
Yeah, same here. Right after this, and we mean right after. Like as soon as we pack everything out of the black box and we clean it up, we are moving straight on to other shows. So that includes She Kills Monsters,
And Boeing, yeah.
Boeing, and How to Succeed in Business Without Even Trying. It's a very long title. I might have gotten that wrong, but yeah, it's show after show, so we always have something to do.
That's great. And does making this feel different than working on a theater show?
A little bit. Yeah. It's certainly more work. It's certainly more walls and more set pieces than, because for all intents and purposes, we're making 5 stages worth of set and worth of set pieces and props, because it's 5 separate rooms at each that the audience members walk through. So it's 5 stages worth of set pieces and props and material.
I'm just gonna take over that real quick. It's also the stage management way of doing it is a completely different thing to get scare actors and other people rehearsing and trying to figure out how to manage them. Other than I'm just sounding out cues, you learn your lines, and I'm good. No, I have to physically be able to know where my scare actors are at all times.
All right. So this is really very different from working on theater. Do you have a favorite?
Like room?
You mean like in general between
Working on this haunted house walk-through attraction versus working on a theatrical show?
I feel like I've never worked on an attraction like this before. I think it is really cool, and I'm finding it very, very interesting with all the different aspects of it. I'll always love the normal way of doing a live performance, but like you already said, it's very different from a stage management perspective, and that's kind of why I didn't throw myself into that right away, because like for TTP we have to do 2 other run crews, so I kind of volunteered myself for the other 2 more normal live performances as a stage manager, but this is super, super cool, and I like that everyone can be a part of it in different ways.
Yeah, and one thing that I forgot I was going to say. What was I going to say? Shoot.
It's okay.
You swing the microphone over, and then you're like immediately forget what you're going to say.
Well, Mars, we are actually out of time.
That's all right.
So, you guys, thank you so much for joining me on Embracing the Bold.
Yeah, of course.
This has really been very exciting to learn about the haunted attraction. What is one thing that you hope we take away from the experience?
Come join us. Come join all the theater nerds building and come have fun, get scared. Just come join the class and have fun.
If you're still unsure about what you're trying to do, if you're still just, kind of bumbling through, gen ed and you're not sure what you want to do, take a stop on by and see what's up.
Yeah, one takeaway is just look what we can do.
Yeah.
Yes.
In roughly about 2 months' time, look what we can do. That actually reminds me of what I was going to say. Is I wish we had more time for this.
Oh, yeah. For
sure. Just compared to live stage, I mean, I love what we're doing. I just wish we had more time because we can do what we're doing twice as better. But it's still going to be good.
Oh, yeah. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. And audience, thank you so much for joining us on Embracing the Bold. And it's great to see you here every week. And I hope to see you at the haunted attraction. Once again, this is the Florida Museum of Cursed Artifacts, a haunted attraction, opens Friday, October 27th at the East Campus Black Box Theater. We'll see you there.